There's a version of you that already has everything you're chasing right now. Not tomorrow. Not in 10 years. Now. The only reason you haven't met that version is because you've been hypnotized into forgetting who you really are. You were never meant to struggle your way to success. You were meant to remember. But here's the secret nobody told you. Your imagination isn't a fantasy machine. It's a GPS system, tapping into quantum frequencies from your future self, and every time you ignore that inner vision, you're not being realistic. You're simply tuning into the wrong timeline. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to crack that code. How to use your consciousness to collapse the distance between the life you want and the life you were designed to live. No fluff. No think positive and wait. Just a method that merges quantum science, ancient wisdom, and the one truth they never wanted you to know. Reality bends to the identity you embody, and you're about to remember exactly how to shift. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Imagination is not pretend. It's perception. Every time you imagine yourself healthy, free, abundant, in love, you're not inventing something out of nowhere. You're tuning into a real vibrational possibility that already exists in the quantum field. Your imagination isn't fiction, it's frequency. And here's the gold. Your ability to imagine with emotional intensity is the single fastest way to shift timelines. Not visualization by habit, not vague hopes. I'm talking about imagining so clearly, with so much emotional charge, that your body starts to believe it's already real. That's when the field starts to respond. That's when the shift begins, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to use imagination as a quantum technology, so you stop daydreaming and start creating. You've been lied to about your imagination. Let's start with the biggest block. From a young age, you were taught that imagination is a game, something for kids, something that's not real. But Albert Einstein, who literally changed the structure of reality, once said, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." That's not poetry, that's quantum physics. Einstein knew that imagination wasn't a fantasy tool. It was creative consciousness in motion, and modern science confirms it. Your brain doesn't differentiate much between what's real and what's vividly imagined. The same neurons fire. The same emotional states get activated. The same chemistry floods your system. So if your imagination can trigger real emotional and physiological responses, why wouldn't it also influence the reality you're collapsing into form? Imagination is an energetic signal. Here's where it gets even deeper. According to quantum theory, we're all living inside a field of infinite probabilities. Every possible version of your life already exists, right now, as waveforms of potential. What collapses one version into reality? Your observation, your intention, and most of all, your emotional signal. When you imagine a new reality, not just thinking about it, but feeling it, seeing it, living it from within, you send a precise frequency into the field. That frequency is like a password. It grants you access to the timeline where that version of you already exists, not eventually, not if the universe allows. Now, most people are imagining the wrong way. The painful truth is, you're already using your imagination every day. You just might be using it against yourself. Imagining what could go wrong. Rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Visualizing how things will fail. Replaying the past over and over. Every one of those images is a command to the field. A broadcast, and the field doesn't filter your imagination as positive or negative. It just responds to vibration and repetition. So the question isn't, can I imagine a better life? The real question is, what am I imagining into reality? Without realizing it? Why this video can change everything. Because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how to flip the switch. How to stop imagining from fear and start imagining from alignment. You'll learn how your imagination codes your nervous system, how it rewires your identity, how it collapses possibilities into tangible experiences, and how to use it as a daily practice that alters your energy field for real. This is where things get practical. This is where the magic becomes science. This is where reality starts to bend. So if something in you already feels it, That inner nudge, that intuitive knowing. Stay with me. Because the moment you take your imagination seriously, it takes your reality seriously too. And very soon, you'll see that the life you've been waiting for has been waiting for you to imagine it properly. Let's go deeper. When you close your eyes and imagine a version of yourself that's free, abundant, in love, on purpose, you're not just playing a mental game. You're initiating a biological shift, and you're transmitting a precise frequency to the field around you. Because the moment you imagine with intensity, you're no longer just thinking, you're creating. Let's break that down. According to neuroscientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza, when you vividly imagine an event and feel it emotionally, your brain begins to wire itself as if that event is actually happening. The neural networks fire, new synaptic connections form, neurochemicals flood your system, and if repeated often enough, this internal experience becomes a dominant signal in your body, which means you're no longer reacting to your current environment. You're training your biology to match your desired reality. This isn't wishful thinking, it's neuroplasticity, the science of rewiring your brain through focused attention. So each time you imagine your future self, confidently speaking, laughing with your partner, walking through your dream home, you're physically installing the blueprint of that identity into your nervous system. And when your body believes it's real, the quantum field begins to reflect it. Your imagination becomes your identity. Now here's where it gets even more powerful. Your identity is shaped by what you emotionally rehearse. So if you're constantly imagining yourself failing, struggling, being left behind, those emotional loops become your default state, your energetic baseline. But when you choose to imagine differently, and you bring your full emotion into the scene, you start to replace old identity patterns with new ones. This is why some people experience massive shifts just by visualizing daily with presence. They're not waiting for change. They're living the change internally, and the outer world simply catches up. The field doesn't speak words, it reads frequency. The quantum field, what Max Planck called the matrix of all matter, doesn't speak English. It doesn't care what you say out loud. It doesn't even respond to what you consciously desire. It responds to the vibrational signature you emit consistently. And your imagination, when embodied emotionally, is the fastest way to change that signal. Think of it this way. Thought alone. Potential. Thought plus emotion. Frequency. Repeated frequency. Collapse of a timeline. That's the mechanism. When you imagine something and your body feels it as truth, you collapse the quantum potential into a lived experience. You're not asking the universe, you're coding it. A flat imagination doesn't move the field. This is why most vision boards don't work. If you stare at a picture and feel lack, comparison, or frustration, you're broadcasting the opposite of what you want. But when you imagine with emotionally charged coherence, when you cry, laugh, or feel goosebumps during your visualizations, that's the signal the field takes seriously. Because now it's not just a thought, it's a state of being. Imagination is the frequency key that gives you access to the version of reality where that imagined version of you already exists. And the more often you enter that frequency, through daily emotional rehearsal, the more natural that version of you becomes. Eventually, your imagination is no longer a future fantasy. It's a felt memory, and once your body remembers it, the field responds by bringing it into your physical experience, not because you forced it, but because you became it. Here's something you can try tonight. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Bring to mind a version of you who already lives your dream life. Don't just see it, feel it. What do your surroundings look like? What do you smell, hear, touch? What are you proud of? What feels natural now? Stay in that state for at least 5 minutes. Let it become more than a thought. Let it become a felt truth. And here's the secret. When you finish, don't return to the old you. Walk through your day as if the jump already happened. That's the shift that rewires your brain and bends your timeline. You don't need to hustle to create a new life. You don't need to wait for circumstances to change. You don't even need to be ready. You just need to remember how to use what was always inside you, the code of imagination. Because when you imagine with presence, emotion, and coherence, you're not escaping reality, you're reprogramming it. Most people think imagination is personal, something private, intangible, something that stays inside your head. But here's what almost no one realizes. Your imagination is not just a personal experience. It's a quantum communication. Every time you imagine a scene, every time you create an image with feeling, you are sending a coded signal into the unified field. That image is data. That feeling is energy. Together, they form a vibrational command. And this command doesn't just stay within you. It echoes outward, into the very fabric of reality. The quantum field doesn't respond to thoughts alone. It responds to coherent frequencies. That means thought, emotion, and intention aligned and repeated. Think of it as programming a GPS. The image is the destination. The emotion is the fuel. The belief is the engine that moves you there. The clearer the image, the cleaner the code. The stronger the emotion, the faster the shift. And if you're emotionally entangled with what you don't want, fear, doubt, lack, you're still sending a code. The field is always responding. The only question is, to which signal? The field doesn't speak English. It doesn't understand affirmations. It doesn't care what you're trying to manifest. It responds to patterns of energy. It reads the geometry of your emotion. It feels the repetition of your inner vision. So if you want to shift timelines, it's not about scripting the perfect affirmation. It's about encoding the field with a clear, consistent emotional blueprint. The clearer the internal code, the faster reality rewrites itself. Your imagination must be embodied. You can't just close your eyes and visualize once a week. You can't just think about the future version of you while scrolling Instagram. You have to live inside the image. You have to wear it like a second skin. You have to feel the timeline so vividly that it starts to feel like a memory instead of a hope. That's when the field gets the message. That's when the version of you who lives that reality starts collapsing into now. Because in quantum terms, reality is not out there. It's a mirror, and your imagination is the input it reflects back. Why most people are stuck in looping timelines. Let's be honest, most people imagine inconsistently. They visualize a better life for 10 minutes in the morning, then spend the rest of the day rehearsing the old identity. What if it doesn't work? Who am I to have this? What if I lose it again? This emotional inconsistency scrambles the signal. It creates conflicting codes in the field. One part of you is saying yes. The other part is screaming, not yet. And the quantum doesn't choose for you. It simply reflects your dominant frequency. The universe is always matching data. This is not punishment, it's precision. The universe is not testing you, it's matching you. So if you're not seeing the reality you desire, it's not because it's unavailable. It's because your current energetic code doesn't give it permission to arrive. And here's the beautiful truth. You can change the code at any moment. Every time you imagine with clarity and feel it as real, you override the old programming. You tell the field, this is the version of reality I now choose to align with. And when that message becomes consistent, the mirror has no choice but to change. Here's something most people miss. The more specific and detailed your imagination, the more powerfully it codes the field. Don't just imagine abundance. Imagine opening your bank app and smiling. Imagine feeling your chest expand with gratitude. Imagine buying something for someone you love without hesitation. Don't just imagine love. Imagine being held. Imagine hearing the words. Imagine the softness in your body when you feel safe. Details activate emotion. Emotion locks in frequency. Frequency instructs the field. This is the coding process, and you are the programmer. If you want a quantum hack, here it is. Don't just visualize the scene, step into it. Let your imagination become interactive. Touch the walls, smell the air. Feel your body inside the new version of reality. When your senses join the scene, the brain and body begin to believe. And when belief meets repetition, timeline shifts become inevitable. You're no longer a person trying to manifest. You're a person transmitting a stable code. and receiving its reflection. Your imagination is not a game. It's the software of the soul. Every image you hold with love, with faith, with consistency, becomes a seed the universe cannot ignore. So the question is no longer, is it possible? The question is, am I broadcasting the version of reality I want, or the one I'm used to? Because reality doesn't reflect what you hope for. It reflects what you've been emotionally rehearsing. And your imagination, with clarity, presence, and emotion, is how you write the next version of your life. Let's bring it all into form. You now understand that your imagination is not just a mental tool. It's a quantum code, a language of creation, a vibrational instruction to the universe. But the real question is, how do I actually use it to shift into the timeline where my desires are already real? The answer isn't complicated, but it does require presence, emotion, and consistency. And the moment you stop just thinking about your future and start embodying it in your inner world, you trigger something remarkable. Your energy begins to shift. Your body begins to reprogram, and the field begins to respond. Let me guide you through it. Step 1. Choose the version of you. Before you imagine a new life, ask yourself, who is the version of me that already lives it? Close your eyes, breathe, and feel into that identity. What is their posture like? How do they walk? How do they make decisions? What do they no longer tolerate? Let them rise in your awareness. Not from your head, from your intuition. You're not making this version up. You're tuning into a frequency that already exists in the quantum field. Step 2. Enter the scene. Now, imagine this version of you in their reality. Not observing them, being them. Imagine walking through your day as them. Waking up in their space, feeling their emotions, seeing their environment, responding to life from their calm, confident, radiant state. Let it become sensory. What do you see around you? What do you smell? What do your clothes feel like on your skin? What music is playing? Who is near you? How does your body feel in this version of reality? The more detail you bring in, the stronger the emotional signal becomes. Step 3. Loop it with emotion. Now, bring emotion into the scene. This is the fuel. Feel the relief of having already arrived. Feel the gratitude for everything working. Feel the confidence in your body. Feel the aliveness in your energy. Don't rush it. Sit in it. Let the feeling fill your chest, soften your belly, light up your spine. This is what sends the code. This is what the field responds to. It's not just seeing the future. It's being the one who already lives it. Step 4. Make it real by action. Once you've felt it fully, don't just open your eyes and go back to the old self. Carry this version of you into your day. Ask, how would they walk into this room? How would they reply to this message? How would they handle this situation? Every small action becomes an anchor. And when your external behavior matches your internal signal, the quantum field begins to recalibrate around you. Step 5. Repeat until it becomes memory. You don't have to do this once and nail it. Quantum shifting isn't a one-time ritual. It's a vibrational lifestyle. And just like going to the gym trains the muscles, this practice trains your frequency. Eventually, you stop trying to believe it. You just know, because the emotion becomes familiar. Because the images become memories. Because the version of you you imagined has become the only version you're willing to embody. Common mistakes to avoid. Let's be real. Most people fall into one of these traps. Overthinking the practice, trying to get it perfect, instead of just feeling it, visualizing without emotion, which sends no real signal to the field going through the motions, instead of entering, with presence and reverence checking for proof, which shifts you back to the identity of not yet. This is not about manifesting something to come. It's about entering the vibration where it already exists. You don't do this to get results. You do this to become the match. A powerful reminder. You are already a timeline jumper. Every time you choose to think, feel, and act differently, You are shifting. You're not stuck. You're just rehearsing an old frequency. Change the rehearsal. Change the reality. And it all starts in imagination. Because once your body and energy know the feeling of the new timeline, there's no going back. The field has already been informed. Reality has already begun to rearrange. Don't visualize to convince yourself. Visualize to remember who you really are. You're not creating the new version. You're collapsing into it by aligning with its emotional frequency. Your imagination is the vehicle, your emotion is the fuel, and your identity is the destination already waiting to be remembered. Let's get real for a moment. You've probably tried to visualize before. Maybe you imagined your dream house, the love of your life, a healed body, overflowing abundance. That moment where everything finally clicks. You lit candles, you played the frequency music, you got quiet and tried to feel it. But then, nothing changed. Days passed, weeks maybe, and your outer reality looked exactly the same. So you thought, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe this just isn't for me. But the problem wasn't your imagination, it was the energy behind it. Because here's the paradox that almost no one talks about. The desire for something, when filled with lack, actually broadcasts the absence of it. Let me say that again, because this is the key. When you imagine, from a place of not having, you amplify the frequency of not having. Your imagination is only as strong as your identity. If you're still identifying as someone who is waiting, hoping, lacking, unworthy, incomplete, then your imagination, no matter how vivid, will be overridden by your dominant vibration. You'll be imagining the dream, but vibrating the void. You'll be picturing the love, but broadcasting loneliness. You'll be visualizing wealth, but radiating fear of not enough. And the quantum field? It mirrors your energetic truth, not your mental wish. You don't attract what you imagine. You attract what your nervous system believes is familiar. Wanting too much blocks the field. It sounds strange, but wanting something too much is often what keeps it away. Because the vibration of wanting is very different from the vibration of having. Wanting says, it's not here yet. I don't believe it's coming. I need this to feel complete. And that sends a signal of lack, a code of separation. But when you imagine from a place of already being the one who lives it, when the emotion is gratitude, certainty, joy, presence, that's when your imagination becomes magnetic. Because now you're no longer asking, you're remembering. You're no longer visualizing for something to arrive. You're aligning with what's already real on a vibrational level. Most people imagine as beggars, not creators. This might sting a little, but many people treat their imagination like a spiritual begging bowl. They visualize hoping the universe will hear them and reward them. They attach all their power to the outcome. They look for signs every hour. They check if it worked, and if not, they give up. This is not creation. This is emotional gambling. And the quantum field does not respond to desperation. It responds to coherence. The energy of lack creates more. Lack, the energy of wholeness, creates reflection. So how do you correct this? You stop imagining from I want and start imagining from I am. You don't visualize to get. You visualize to embody. You step into the version of you who doesn't need to prove anything, isn't waiting. For a sign isn't obsessing over the outcome. They simply live the vibration of the new reality. Because to them, it's already here. That's the sweet spot. That's the magic. When your imagination becomes an act of remembrance instead of a tool of desperation, the field shifts in your favor. Here's something that can change the game. Am I imagining because I trust it's done, or because I'm afraid it never will be? That question will tell you everything about the frequency you're sending. Because true imagination isn't desperate. It's relaxed. It's rich with trust, presence, and certainty. And when you shift into that state, you unlock the frequency that matches the timeline you've been waiting for. And suddenly, you're no longer waiting. You're vibrating the version of you who's already there. Imagination isn't a tool for desperate hope. It's a portal for embodiment. And if you're using it to escape your current life, instead of to align with your highest identity, you'll keep cycling in frustration. But the moment you drop the need, the moment you stop chasing the outcome, you shift from force to frequency, from desire to becoming, from lack to light. And the universe responds to that. Every single time. If you've come this far, something in you is already shifting. Maybe you can't explain it yet, but deep inside, you feel it. A quiet certainty, a subtle expansion, a sense that something ancient and powerful just woke up inside you. And here's why. Because your imagination has never been broken. It was just forgotten. You weren't taught that it was sacred. You weren't taught that it was real. You weren't taught that it was the most direct connection to your future self. But now you know. And once you know, you can never return to the smallness that came from not knowing. You are already living in the field you've been coding. Think about it. The life you're living right now, this moment, was once imagined, rehearsed, or emotionally repeated in some way. That version of you was formed in your energy, before it became your experience. So what does that tell you? You are already a creator. You are already quantum. You are already shifting timelines. With every choice, every feeling, every image you hold. The only difference now is that you're finally doing it on purpose, and that changes everything. You don't need more effort. You don't need more strategies. You don't need to earn your future. You simply need to remember. The version of you who already lives the life you desire is waiting for you to become emotionally available to that reality. That version of you is not in the future. It exists now, as a frequency, as a code, as a memory your soul already carries. And every time you imagine with clarity, emotion, and trust, you collapse time. You activate the portal. You begin to live in resonance. So now, it's your turn. Don't just watch this video and forget what you felt. Seal the shift. Anchor the code. Declare the jump. Leave this in the comments. I activate my reality through imagination. That phrase tells the quantum field. I'm not just wishing. I'm not waiting. I'm becoming the version of me who lives it, now. And the moment you write it, you reinforce the frequency in your field. So do it with presence. Do it with feeling. Do it like you mean it. Because you're not just commenting, you're coding your next timeline.